I am 100% confident in saying that this is Fusion World's best update ever. Fusion World just received a bunch of changes to their economy of the game, completely revamped, and it turns out to be the best update, I think, of Fusion World so far. The only updates that I think would even come close, the update where they added that players that go first can draw a card, because if you didn't know, players who went first used to not draw cards. Usually going second was just the better thing to be against any deck. Now, it's a little bit more convoluted depending on the deck. For the most part, second is still better, but I still think it's not better than this update. The only other update you could mention would probably be the first anniversary update. That was the update where they added the rule book. They added the emote button in that update as well. They added the magical hand sorting button as well. A bunch of quality of life. I still think this update completely blows it out of the water. Now, again, this doesn't actually change anything about the game per se, but the new changes to the overall daily and weekly system completely just like wow. So I guess the best way to, start introducing this stuff is just to log into the game like normal and see what we got. I'm not going to count seasonal stuff. This technically counts as season because this is just for, this set that we're getting this login bonus. Same thing for this. This is another limited login bonus, which is just for the story booster, right? Now, I'm not exactly sure how long this is going to last, I would assume, until the set ends. But this is where we're going to start talking. This is the new login bonus for Fusion World. Now, normally, you would typically get 10 gems for logging in. Now you get 70. Sounds ridiculous, right? That absolutely is. That is 7 times more gems every day. This is double the amount that we got every single day forever. I'm not kidding. If you logged into the game every day and did your dailies, you would get 30 gems because it'd be 10 for logging in and then 20 for doing our daily missions. Just for logging in, you now get more than double that. And we're not done with dailies just yet. We click on here, go to missions, go to dailies. They've been revamped. They've been made a lot more streamlined and better. Not only did they lower the conditions and make them just less overall, so you had to play less. Before, you could get all dailies done in a game, but you had to basically rig the match, for lack of a better word. Like, you had to, get all your damage in, get all 8 hits, and then play a bunch of battle cards, play a bunch of extras, and use a bunch of combo power, right? The most of the reason why you couldn't do it in a single game was because of this, because you had to get all 8 hits on your opponent. And with Self-Awakeners, FFing, different other stuff like that didn't really let you to hit the opponent consistently, even if you did win the game, it was not very likely you're dealing 8 damage to your opponent in one game. Of course, if you do multiple games, that's not a problem, but doing it in a game wasn't likely. This, it is not only more than possible, it is almost going to be never when you don't do all your dailies in a single match, right? Because using combo, you're going to be using combo, especially if you're just going to go all in. Playing a battle card, that's just the game. And then dealing damage 4 times is just the amount of times that it takes to self-awaken the opponent. There are still going to be games where you could not get this in one game. That's true. But now it's so much more consistent, and if you haven't noticed, on top of that, you also get more gems total. Because instead of being 4 missions that give you 5 gems each for a total of 20, we now get 3 missions that give you 10 gems for a total of 30. So now, for logging in and doing your dailies every day, you get a whopping 100 gems. To put that into perspective, before you got 30, that is more than 3 times the normal amount of gems that you would get for playing every day. If just by doing your dailies alone for 10 days straight, you have enough to do a multi. That was unprecedented before. Because remember, it was just 30 a day. And to jump from 30 to 100, that's just crazy. Now remember that old system where you would get 30 every day, it's been like that for 2 years. Free-to-plays have been very, I would say, shafted. And Fusion World has done efforts to kind of mitigate that. For example, the event matches. Event matches give you a bunch of rewards every 2 weeks on average. And all these rewards are basically up for grabs now. Because usually if you lost, you would lose out on these rewards. because it would be consecutive wins, but now you can get all the rewards no matter how many times you lose. You just have to get 7 wins, and you get everything here. There have been things that the game has done to help the free-to-play player, but this just blows it out of the water. 100 gems every day? Thank you, Fusion World. Give me more, please. But we do already have more. If you've noticed to the left of the screen, on this weekly section, there are now points. You can now get wildcard points. Now, if you don't know what those are, that's this. When you go to here to wildcards, and then you press on the different wildcards, these little point systems right here, this is the points. You essentially need 100 points total to generate 1 wildcard of each. So by getting 20 of these, you would need to get this 5 times to make it 100 and get 1 SR wildcard. Essentially, getting your weeklies done 5 times gives you a free SR card. And every 10 weeks, you get a secret rare wildcard. A better way to see it is every 10 weeks, you're getting a secret rare wildcard and 2 SR wildcards. This is new. You just got gems off of weeklies. I do have to point this out. To be fair, you're getting much less weekly gems, because usually what you would have to do is get a win with every single color. That's 5, and each of those will give you 10 gems for a total of 50. And then you would have to win, if memory serves, 5 times, 7 times, 10 times, 15 times, and 20 times. So that's 5 in total. Each of those will give you 20 gems, so that's 100. So you would get 150 gems every single week. Compared to 50 and 60 and 70 and 80, you're getting about half the regular gems. That is mitigated by the fact, however, that you're getting SR and secret rare points. Now, unless you're a whale, that's actually really important. I can't show it in this account because this is my throwaway account that I use for completing my dailies more conveniently. But if I pull up my account, you'll know I have a bunch of common, uncommon, and rare wildcards. I completely generated the set for this set because I didn't have enough gems to spend because it's more expensive. We'll get to that later. SR and secret rare are ding ding ding. That's the problem. Especially SRs. SRs are extremely important to get. Secret rares are just 2 in a set, so you'll probably get them anyway because they're much, ironically enough, they're much more common than just getting a specific type of SR, because there's a bunch of SRs but only like 2 secret rares. So yes, it is absolutely perfect, and I will take this system any day of the week over the regular system. Now, even if you would like the gems more, which is a fair argument, I would like to bring your attention back to the dailies. Remember that we're getting 70 extra gems than normal compared to what we had before, because it was 30 versus 100. And guess how many you get less in a week? I'll give you 5-4. It's about 70, right? So just 1 daily's worth covers what we're missing for the weeklies. Isn't that crazy? Absolutely it is. Matter of fact, 2 dailies on this new system is better by 50 gems than doing every single one of your weeklies in a week on the old system. On a day on the old system. Isn't that ridiculously crazy? Now, Fusion World, as I mentioned before, isn't particularly known for pandering to its free-to-play audience. This is a massive step. Now, I would like to point out that it's not enough. This game should aspire to be something more similar to Dokkan in terms of like free-to-play player friendliness. And what I mean by that is, think when you're playing Dokkan, for those who play Dokkan, the gacha game, you can log into Dokkan, make a new account right now. Let's say you're making a new account on this new upcoming celebration GDC 2026, and it's Namek Goku. You could make a completely fresh new account right now. And just with the free stones that they give you, you can rainbow the new Goku. Like, just rainbow the brand new spanking, just came out for Christmas character. You can max him out completely for free. That's the kind of level that Fusion World should aspire towards. Of course, this is going to be, first and foremost, I want to say money grab, but a financial gain is going to be the forefront of this game. As every game should. I don't have a problem with that, actually. Despite the fact that I'm talking about how good an economic change is, right? Which feels ironic, but I do have to mention this because this is important. the new set is more expensive by about 50%. Now, I'm not exactly sure it's because I'm almost certain that it's for the story booster, by the way. I'm almost certain that that's the case. The thing is, it is possible that the next sets could be more expensive by 50% like this. That shouldn't even be a consideration. I mean, it is a consideration because this does unfortunately hurt the pockets of whales, because whales are just gonna buy everything in the set the second it comes out, especially content creators like JPantha. They're just gonna spend all the money, they're not gonna care. So the bigger price is gonna hurt them more than it's gonna hurt the regular free-to-play Johnny. But number one, remember, these dailies are like 3 times better versus a 50% price hike. That's like, I'm taking, dude, I don't know about you, I'm taking that, man. That's really good. Now, even if you ignore all of that, even if you do say, no, it is a problem that they're adding bigger prices to new decks, guess what decks haven't changed? Regular sets from previous releases are still their old price. I mean, you can't buy manga sets anymore, of course, but all these old sets are the same price they've always been. This is huge. It doesn't matter for many players. It matters to me. It doesn't matter to many players, but if I want to go back and get SRs for decks that I do not own, it is much cheaper for me to go back to these old sets and summon for those SRs. So that helps me, the free-to-play player, personally. A lot of people are not going to care because they're just going to summon on the new set because they already have everything they need for these old sets because they probably, spend money. But for the free-to-play player, that's a massive win. With all that said, that's about it in terms of the daily and weekly gems. Now, again, we do also have this massive event going on right now where you get a bunch of free gems and a bunch of free rewards. That is true. I didn't want to count that for this video, and I didn't want to go into too much detail because, again, this is seasonal. So this will only be applied until the end of this current set. So this is not permanent. This, however, is going to be available for the rest of the game, including the 70 gem login bonus. So this is just going to change the game overall. The econ in this game is going to be massively improved. This game is unfortunately hurting the pockets of the whales that pay the game. But fortunately, it's actually throwing a bone to the little guy who plays free-to-play, which is nice. I try not to be biased, but, I do like when they benefit me with the free-to-play stuff, like, it's controversial to say, man. Anyways, that's about it. Tell me your thoughts on the update if you made it this far, man. Do you like getting 100 gems every single day? If the answer is no, can you throw a couple of them my way?